Alright, division of fractions. This is pretty simple, I will be honest with you, because basically we're going to do the same thing that we did when we're multiplying. We still don't need common denominators. We do not need them, okay? Which means that when we get down to business, we're going to go straight across, top and bottom. Remember, that's what separates add and subtract, which are kind of like the same thing as far as what we do with multiply and divide, which are also kind of like the same thing with what we do, okay? Now, here is the trick to this. When you divide something, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of the fraction. Okay? And just so you understand what that means, reciprocal of the fraction. If my fraction was 2/3, the reciprocal is 3/2. It's just flipped around. Okay? So what I'm saying is that if we divided by 2/3, that would be the same as multiplying by 3/2. And if since we already know how to multiply fractions, we might as well just change it to a multiplication problem by finding the reciprocal. Over here, and that all sounds complicated, and it's not going to be in a second here. Here's what the phrase or the letters I like to use to remember what to do for division. K, C, F. It sounds really familiar to KFC, like the chicken, but it's not. But it's close enough that I think you'll remember it. KCF stands for keep, change, flip. And when we come up here for this example here, I'm going to put keep over this first fraction, change over the division sign, and flip over the second fraction. So we're doing keep it, change it, flip it is what we're basically doing. You'll hear me say that a lot. So basically we're saying that 4/5 divided by 2/3 is the same as doing 4/5 times 3/2, the reciprocal. And how that keep it, change it, flip it comes in. I'm going to keep the first fraction. Keep. I'm going to change the sign, the C, to multiplication. Division, change to multiplication. And then the F stands for flip. I'm going to flip that fraction around. Okay? So now this problem essentially turns into this problem, which you should have no problem doing. 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10. 12/10. And then, of course, 12/10 would be 10 goes into 12 once with 2 left over. 1 2/10, which would be divided by 2, 1 1/5. So what we're doing, and you're probably still a little bit confused, but we're actually changing the division problem to a multiplication problem that we can do. And the reason we can do that is if you divide by this, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. And we'll talk a lot more about this, so if you're confused right now, not a big deal at all. Alright, our problem now is 10/20 divided by 3/4. Remember, we're not having common denominators, not for multiply and divide, only for add and subtract. Then we just need to go straight across with it both top and bottom. Now, for the division, we're always going to do our keep it, change it, flip it. So down here, keep it, change it, flip it would be the keep would be the first one, the change would be the sign, and the flip would be the second fraction. So the keep part is going to be 10/20. The change part, we're changing that to multiplication. And then the flip part, we're doing the reciprocal. Remember, that's the flipped around version. The reciprocal is going to be 4/3. Now we've got a problem. Piece of cake. It's a multiplication problem. We can do these in our sleep here. They're pretty easy. Okay, I'm going to actually write it twice because if you think back to our last section, if you want to do that cross-reducing, after you change it to a multiplication problem, feel free. If I just want to keep it how it is, 10 times 4 is 40. 20 times 3 is 60. Both of these I know I can divide by, actually I can divide by 20 to reduce it. 40 divided by 20 is 2. 60 divided by 20 is 3. So it's 2/3. Now, if I want to do the cross division, I can't, the 10 and the 3, we're not going to be able to cross divide because nothing goes into 10 and 3. But the 20 and the 4 goes into both 20 and 4. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. Let's see. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So now when I multiply, 10 times 1 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. Now, that actually can still be reduced. Divide by 5, divide by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So my answer was still 2/3. So to walk you back through it, we're changing all division problems to multiplication problems by doing keep it, change it, flip it. Flip it is the reciprocal. We're flipping it around. We're doing all the problems like that to make that work out. Then we're just going to multiply. If you want to do that cross reducing, feel free. If you don't worry about it. All right, next up here, our new problem is 4/7 divided by 6/8. Remember, we're changing all of these problems to multiplication. All right, so for keep it, change it, flip it, we're going to keep the first one. Keep the 4/7, just how it is. We're going to change the sign, and then we're going to flip that last fraction around. We're going to find the reciprocal. So it's going to be 6/8. Oops, I didn't flip around. There we go. It's going to be 8/6 if we flip it around. Now, I can multiply straight across, is fine. If I do that, 8 times 4 is 32. 6 times 7 is 42. And I got to believe that we can divide by 2 here because they're both even. If I divide by 2, 32 divided by 2 is 16. 42 divided by 2 is 21. There's our answer. If you did the keep, change, and flip it, and you got this, and you want to do the cross division, okay? I think we can do it for this one. Yeah, for one part of it anyway. The 8 and the 7 we can't, but the 4 and the 8 we definitely can. Or, I mean the 4 and the 6, because 2 goes into both of those. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Multiply straight across, we get 16/21, just like we got over here. All right, we'll do a couple more practice ones before we have you do a couple on your own here. Okay, 6/7 divided by 6/7. Okay, keep it, change, and flip it. So I need to keep the first number, which would be 6/7. Change the sign from division to multiplication, and then flip it around. So it'd be 7/6. Now, if I multiply straight across, and this is actually kind of an interesting one here to do the cross division on as well, so we'll save that for a little bit here. But if I do this, 6 times 7 is 42. 7 times 6 is 42. 42 out of 42 is the same thing as one whole. 42 out of 42. 42 shaded in out of 42 possible is one whole. Now if we did the cross division, 6 and 6, I could divide both of those by 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 7 and 7, I could divide both of those by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 over 1, 1 first. 1 filled in out of 1, it's like having a whole pan. So that would be 1 whole as well. All right, 2/3 divided by 3/7 for division problems. Remember, we're not finding common denominators. We're just doing our keep it, change it, flip it, and multiplying straight across. So keep it, 2/3, change it, division and multiplication, flip it, 7/3. I'm only going to write this once because I'm looking at this. I can't do any cross reducing here. 7 and 3, there's nothing I can cross reduce by. 2 and 3, there's nothing I can cross reduce by, so I just have to do the problem. 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 goes into 14. 1 time should be 5 left over. There's your answer. All right, why don't you go ahead and try your hand at these two problems here for practice. 4/5 divided by 6/10. I can get the answer for the last problem off of there. And 2/6 divided by 3/8. Remember, for division, we're doing keep it, change it, flip it. We're not finding common denominators, and we're multiplying straight across. That cross reducing is optional. Try them, see how you do. Pause the video. All right. Hopefully you've had time to finish these up here. And again, remember, on any of these things, if you have questions, please make sure that you let me know as I'm walking around. So if we do our keep it, change it, flip it, we are going to have 4/5 times 10/6. Okay. Now, all I need to do is either multiply straight across or do the cross reducing and then multiply straight across. So let's see how we did here. 4/5, 10/6, straight across would be 40 and 30. I could reduce first, which would probably be a good idea. Reducing first, I could divide by 10. That would be 4/3. And to change that to a mixed number is going to be 1 and 1/3. Over here, I can do cross reducing. 5 and 10. 5 goes into both of those. So that's going to be 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 4 and 6, I should be able to divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3, so I have 4/3. That's my improper fraction. 4/3 changes to the mixed number of 1 and 1/3. 3 goes into 4 once, with 1 left over. All right, last example here. We've got our 2/6, excuse me, divided by our 3/8. And again, keep it, change it, flip it is what we're doing for the division. Keep, change, flip. So that is going to be 6. Oops, we're not flipping the first one. That's my fault. 2/6. And then that's 2. Then we'll change the sign to multiply and flip it around. 8/3. Now I just need to multiply straight across. 2 times 8 is 16. 6 times 3 is 18. If we divide by 2, we can reduce that down. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And our answer is 8/9. Now, if you want to do the cross division, I believe you could do it on this one with the 6 and the 8. Those 2 both divides into those. So we could do 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now, if you notice, 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9. So we get the same thing. So in essence, for the division, it's the same thing as the multiplication, except for we're multiplying by the reciprocal, meaning we're multiplying by the flipped around version of the second fraction.